Welcome to Let's Be Real Media, a podcast network that provides your official game plan for sports, culture, and music. Headlined by the Let's Be Real podcast, featuring P Shark, Sky Lido, Tel Shakir, Trevor, Sheedy, and Savage, and includes other podcasts like the I Don't Know Sports podcast by Savage, the Let's Tighten Up podcast by P Shark, Schooling with Sheedy by none other, the name says it itself, Sheedy, Pittsburgh County podcast by Trevor, and Let's Talk About It by Uncle Mike. You can follow us on social media at LB Real Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And as you can see, the website, go on the website, lbrealmedia.com to check us out. Thanks. Let's tighten up. It's your boy, the One P Shark, back here again with a special guest, Damian Adams from The Real with Damian Adams and co-host of 33 Podcasts. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Definitely appreciate being on the show, man. I was really hyped when I got the invite.
Hey, no doubt. No, I had to get you on as soon as, like I said, look at the schedule. Saw the schedule now. We got the Saints fan. Definitely got to get you on the show. I've been trying to get fans of the other teams. You try and get some more insight in other teams. Like I said, when you're a fan of a team, you watch them more often than you watch any other team. Same thing with me with the Titans. So had to definitely get some input and get some insight on from you. But
for sure.
First up, I always do with any new guests a Q&A. So guess with you, I'll do our guests. Where are you from and where are you living now?
Originally from right outside New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up in Marrero, Louisiana. About 10 minutes outside New Orleans, like literally 10 minutes from Bourbon Street. So that's why I love my Pelicans repping, even though we suck right now. Always going to represent the Saints. So yeah, I grew up in New Orleans. After high school, moved out to California. I was in the Navy. I was stationed out in San Diego. Once I got out of the Navy, stayed out in San Diego for a little bit, but now I live in Phoenix, Arizona. My wife's originally from here, so it made a lot of sense for us to move from California. You know, California, you just out there, you know what them prices are looking like out there. So it made sense for us to move out here to Arizona just to, have a better living situation and be around her family. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's what's up. Like I said, see, we got some type of close connection because my currently my dad and my stepmom, they live in Baton Rouge, so I go down to Baton Rouge quite a bit. Well, at least once, twice, maybe 3 times a year or so to visit them. Now, I've been to New Orleans a couple of times since my adult age. Okay. Yeah. Also, with you living in Phoenix, I have my guy Tel Shakir, co-host of the Let's Be Real podcast with me. He's now living in Phoenix. He moved there last November.
Okay, he picked a good time to move in. Like I moved, we was dumb. We moved in August. And if you know anything about living, anything about Arizona, do not move here in the summertime. Do it any other time of the year. 8 months out of the year, you're getting great weather. Those 4 months in the middle, it's rough. And don't be moving during that time either. So he did it smart.
Because the desert, all that dry heat.
Yeah, it's real.
But how obviously from New Orleans, but how and when did you become a Saints fan?
So yeah, growing up in New Orleans, it's everybody. Like a lot of times you go to a city or even, a state, people will be dispersed in their fandom. But with the Saints, everybody's a Saints fan. Even though like maybe some older people from New Orleans might be like Packers fans or Steelers fans or Cowboys fans, because growing up back then, that's what you saw on TV was Cowboys, Steelers, then Packers. And, the Saints were bad for a really long time, pre-Sean Payton. So you have some older people who don't rock with the Saints like that. But my generation, everybody liked the Saints. So it just was something that you fell into. There was a brief period when I was growing up, I was like thinking about Dallas being a 90s kid, but I was like, I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon. So I was like, I got to rep my Saints, man. So being a Saints fan was something that was just going to be ingrained. I couldn't escape it growing up there. So it's something that, and it's being from New Orleans, I don't think there's a team who has a better connection with their city than New Orleans. I think that's something we
Yeah.
saw after Hurricane Katrina, where it really came out and everybody across the nation saw how important the Saints are to New Orleans. And so that's why I think everybody in New Orleans, you go to New Orleans, you're going to see all Saints gear everywhere. like it's Saints town for sure.
Yeah, I know from personal experience. My first ever NFL game was actually a Saints game back in 2015. It was the Panthers and the Saints. Cam Newton's MVP year.
Okay.
It was a shootout. My stepmama, she's the one person in Louisiana that can't stand the Saints. She was a huge Cam Newton Panthers fan, so we went to go to that
That's
game.
hilarious. So. My mom's the same way. My mom's a huge Cam Newton fan.
Wow.
And she was like, she just stopped rocking with the Saints totally when Cam Newton was the Panthers, and still got like Panther stuff in the house or whatnot. I'm like, he's not even that no more. Last year she was rocking with Teddy. She was, and like this year she kind of like just in the wind because she don't really rock with Sam Darnold like that. So yeah, but Cam, that's her dude. So yeah, that's funny.
Hey, crazy. So why did you start podcasting?
So I've always been a huge sports fan, and initially growing up, you have dreams of being a ball player like everybody else does, right? And basketball is my sport, and that's what I wanted to be growing up. And then you get to high school and you realize, man, these dudes who get these scholarships are really good. So I may not be able to do this, but I still had a love for it. And I always wanted to be involved in some type of way. At first, I wanted to be a sports center anchor, right? Yeah. Stuart Scott influences all.
Same here.
So it was something that for me, there's videos of me, like at the time, my little Nokia phone, my ringtone was a sports center tone. So I would play that and act as if I was doing highlights and stuff like that. But then as I got older, I wanted to use my opinion more and not just do highlights, even though you could do highlights and be dope at it like Stuart Scott was. I was more of an opinion guy. So that's when I started being more influenced by like a Stephen A. Smith back when he had like Quite Frankly. Then when I saw Michael Smith on Around the Horn, and at that time we didn't have people from New Orleans that I knew of that were on TV unless they were rappers or athletes. So, you know, we had Cash Money, No Limit Records and all that. Yep. And we didn't have anybody who represented the nerd sports dude. And then I saw Michael Smith and I was like, oh man, I could really do this. I saw him out there, you know, working for the Boston Globe, being on Around the Horn. Then eventually it led to him, you know, pairing up with Jamel Hill and doing all this stuff. And the first podcast I ever listened to was His and Hers, Michael Smith and Jamel Hill.
Yep.
And I remember sitting there at work one day listening to it. And me and my homeboy at the time, we would literally go back and forth all day at work, not working, but just go back and forth all day arguing about sports on email. And I was like, man, we should do a podcast, bro. And he was like, what's a podcast? So I, you know, sent a link to it, the His and Hers podcast. And he was like, okay, yeah, I can see us doing this. And I started out with him, did a few episodes, and he wasn't in love with it, but I immediately fell in love with it and how you can just do different things with it. A lot of people just think we just get here and talk. But there's so much more that goes into it that you have to do, right? And I fell in love with not only the talking-ish part of it, but to get in the process of getting better with it. And from that point forward, it was no looking back.
Sure, for sure. Like I said, I got a similar story, really. I think same thing. I want to be a sports anchor. I know with me, I didn't like wearing, you know, everybody in ESPN, they wearing suits. Steve made a suit every day. And I just knew, like, at a younger age, I was like, I can't imagine, like, getting dressed up every single day. Like, then being in front of the camera. And I was like a little camera shy at the time. I'd grown out of it, of course, now. So I was like, all right. So I got older. Most of you saw writers were the people getting the jobs or former pro athletes. So at that point, I hate writing. And I'm probably not going to make it to I was playing football. I quit basketball in middle school. I was like, probably not going to make it to the NFL. So go on, went to college for engineering, got my engineering degree. Then I was like, if I come back to sports, come back to it later. And later on, like I said, friends, we just sitting around talking sports all day. I was like, man, just start a podcast. So kicked off Let's Be Real a couple years ago. No, Titans don't get a lot of coverage in national media. So that's how I thought the Titans podcast. And even just connecting with you last year during COVID on Twitter when you had started the YouTube series. I think you did like the top 5 NBA champions ever. YouTube, that's why I think that's when we followed each other. And so from that point forward, you kind of helped us with Let's Be Real, as a matter of fact, with that, because out of that we kind of took that and was like, okay, let's do like a top three overrated players, top 3 underrated players all time. So you're definitely a big influence on me with that regard when we connected last year.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think we all take something from each other. Like if you're not taking something from somebody else, then you're not doing it right. Because as amazing as our brains are, we need other brains to come with the ideas to make ours come to fruition. So I definitely appreciate that. Glad I can help out.
Yeah, no problem. So guess where is the advice you would have for anybody who's thinking of starting a podcast?
Don't think about it. Do it. That's one thing that a lot of people will hit me up on, like Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. It's like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. What's your advice? What you do? I'm like, start it. Yep. Don't think about it, just start it. Once you start it, you'll realize if you really have a passion for it. A lot of people get stuck in the pre-packaged portion of it where like, do I have the right logo? And all this stuff is important. Like having a nice logo is good because it gets people attention, stuff like that. But the most important part is doing it. And once you start doing it, that's when you realize, okay, I can improve here. I need to improve there. Like with me, when I first started, I needed a guest. Like I needed somebody else to be with me so that I could bounce ideas off. I can do this. And it took me a long time to get comfortable doing the show by myself. Mm-hmm. And then now I barely have guests on my podcast because I've gotten so comfortable and so used to talking in the mic by myself. I had to get used to that and get better at it. So my advice would be to start, because you can't be great unless you start. Mm-hmm. And also when it comes to just the pre-packaging part, have your name ready, get a logo, and also do your social media stuff beforehand. That's one thing that I didn't do. Like I just started and I didn't have any social media stuff along with it. So I had to bring that along afterwards. So I would say start that before, have all your friends that add them to the page, let them know when it's coming out, and do not get attached to the numbers.
Yeah.
Like you cannot get attached to the numbers. You got to get attached to what you think is quality product. Because you can have weeks where, like, especially with like YouTube, like I did YouTube for a while. I don't really do it anymore. Like if I do videos now, it's more just to promote the podcast or do something I had an idea about. Mm-hmm. But with YouTube, I've had videos that went crazy. Like I remember I did this video about Adrian Broner after he lost to Manny Pacquiao, and it skyrocketed. Like I never woke up to so many comments and views and shares and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, this it right here. I'm about to take off. I'm about to quit the job tomorrow. Like I'm ready to go. Right. And then from there, the other videos didn't take off that way. So you can't get attached to the numbers. You got to get attached to the work that you do. And then the success will come along with that. It could be with numbers. It could be with little advertisements here and there. It's so many different ways to be successful. Don't get attached to one way of doing it. So start, build your social media stuff, but don't get attached to the numbers, and make sure that you're attached to the quality of your work.
For sure. Hey, that's something I probably wish I heard when I first initially quit. Like, because I started the podcast, quit. A lot of different scenarios. I told the story before. Just it was me and two of my friends, Savage and Aston. It was us three. We tried to do the video thing. Schedules at that time, of course, we didn't have like the virtual. We didn't have StreamYard or we had Zoom, but we didn't know the true functionality of going live and everything at the time. So I scheduled some match for us to meet. I started doing it by myself. I didn't like doing it by myself. It was boring to me. I always had the intention of doing it with friends. So just quit. But the next day, one of the guys I consider mentor, Dominic, he randomly added me to like a Black Podcasters group on Facebook. And that day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start back. I'm just gonna take some time, brainstorm, kick you back off the next year with the same friends. Then we grew to eventually being 5-6 of us on Let's Be Real. Then got comfortable enough to do a podcast by myself again. Let's tighten up. Although I've had guests almost every single episode, I have had episodes I can do by myself. So I don't think I could do live by myself. I did that one time. You kind of do need the comments, but I could do a recording by myself like you do. So like my guy Tyler from Fat Boy Fade Away podcast, when he shouted you out on Twitter last week, he was like, y'all built different who do it by themselves. Like, that was a true statement.
Now it's definitely something that you gotta get used to, because especially me, I like to joke around a lot. So when you telling a joke you by yourself, ain't no laughter. You're like, I say, hopefully they listen at home. They catch the joke when I say it. And it's something that you have to get confident with and comfortable with silence, right? Because something that you learn in journalism school and broadcasting school is to get rid of the filler words, the the likes.
Yep.
And if you are not comfortable with that, you'll find yourself, like, because that silence bothers you because you just want to feel it. But sometimes that silence is needed because a silent like pause in a certain situation could say more than words just by having a pause there and knowing like, okay, I'm talking about something serious right now. So let me take a pause right here to show why this is so serious, or take a pause here just to let you think about it as the listener while I'm talking about it. Like certain things like that you just got to get used to. Like for me though, I've been doing it for a while now. So it's like me getting comfortable with it. It took a while, but now I'm there.
Yep, for sure. So where can the people follow you at? Follow your podcast.
Yes, so you can follow me on all social media platforms at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in alpha, on all social media platforms. I'm most active on Twitter. So during games, you'll see me tweeting about basketball, football, boxing. Like boxing, I'm doing round by round. Like I'm going in on it. So yeah, you'll see a lot of me tweeting about that. My Saints. I haven't been tweeting much about my Pelicans because we ain't got much to talk about. But it's gonna be other basketball teams we'll be talking about this year. But yeah, so Twitter, Instagram, I'm on there too, but not super active on there. And Facebook, you can find my page, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, as well. You'll see like articles we do from the 3rd-and-3podcast.com that we'll put on there and stuff like that. And the podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams. You got to put the full thing, like a pimp named Slickback. The Real Deal with Damian Adams. So go ahead. You can, search it, wherever you're listening to this, go ahead and search The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Just continue that good content in your life because it lowers your blood pressure. It makes you healthy. So go ahead and continue that. And also do the 3rd-and-3 podcast. We do live every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, a Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, along with Nikki Jest and Jason Fairman, two very talented people that know their football. That podcast is football based, but we go everywhere. Like we'll get into crazy conversations, especially if something happens in football that connects to other stuff, like the Urban Meyer episode after he got caught up was hilarious. So it's a football base, but it goes everywhere. In my podcast, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, is NFL, NBA, and boxing.
Yeah, for sure, man. Be sure y'all follow this man. You definitely, I tell you, boxing. You taught me a lot about boxing. I definitely subscribe to your tweets during the big fights. No, but like I said, I know boxing, but I don't like me. I only watch the big fights. I don't watch all the prelims, the smaller fights. I literally only watch the big ones. So I'm like just the big fight person. So I definitely learned a lot from you, boxing. And like I said, I know y'all been dropping articles like crazy lately. So I mean, y'all killing me.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, 3rd-and-3podcast.com. We just getting started with getting articles out there. Like we try to do at least a couple of weeks between all three of us. And, there's going to be like Nikki's really funny. Like her article about the Giants was hilarious. So it's something that you just got to check out, 3rd-and-3podcast.com. I did a couple of boxing articles, and I'll be doing some other sports as well. I'll be getting my Saints articles out pretty soon and some basketball ones as well. So, and it's a lot we could do with it that still we're learning. So you're going to start seeing a lot more. I'm really excited about having that website now.
For sure. And I will have it, should already have it in this live feed. I got all like the website, everywhere to follow you and the website and everything with the podcast and everything. So it should be able to see it in the comments on YouTube after the episode airs, whoever it's done.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
So, let's go and get into football action. Week 9 review. All right. Due to all the upsets happening, including your own team, the Saints, I did have a legit question, like which, and include my Titans, I guess us beating Rams was upset. So, which upset was most surprising? I did name off some: Giants, Raiders, Falcons-Saints, Broncos, Cowboys, Titans, Rams, and Bills and Jags. I hope I ain't missing any. Those are the main ones. I guess Cleveland over Cincinnati could be considered upset, but
the way they beat them down was crazy. So I guess it could be considered upset in that way. For me, I would say Bills and Jags, because the Bills I was thinking of as like maybe the best team in the AFC, right? Your Titans are definitely right there as well. But when the Titans beat the Bills are right there. They had the fourth down where they, they slipped and fell on the QB sneaks off. In my mind, I'm like, okay, the Bills, they have a couple of losses, but I think they're the most complete team in the AFC. And to see them not be able to do anything against the Jaguars, the Jaguars haven't been able to really give you any reason to believe they can do this. Even, when they won that game over in England earlier this year, it didn't really give you confidence to go, okay, I see the Jags coming. I can see you.
Right.
Nah, you never, just said those words. I see you, Jaguars. You never was really saying that. So to see them dominate defensively the way they did, Josh Allen couldn't do nothing but get sacked by the other Josh Allen on the Jaguars. Like, he was not able to do anything in that game. And the Bills have this high-powered offense. Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders, all these weapons, and to be shut down in that way by Jacksonville, who has had good defenses in the past. When you think about that team that made it to the AFC Championship game a few years back, Jalen Ramsey and those guys, you're like, okay, Jacksonville's had those defenses in history. They have talent on this team. I mentioned Josh Allen. They have some good corners there. But again, with Jacksonville, they've just been so dysfunctional and so much going wrong. You're like, the Bills, they got this. They're not going to take this too lightly. And the thing is, we should have saw it coming because the Bills did struggle with the Dolphins.
They did. And
you're like, okay, maybe it's the division game. Division games are always kind of weird. So you're like, okay, let's kind of push that to the side. They'll take care of the Jaguars and see the Jaguars do that. And like the Jaguars offensively didn't do anything. That's the other shocking part. Like they couldn't do anything offensively and still won the game. So that would be the most shocking one to me.
Yep, I agree. That's the same one. I think look at the other ones. I actually picked the Giants to upset the Raiders. So that was a good one on that one. Was it the Falcons and Saints? That was shocking, but with the Jameis Winston, we'll talk about it in a second. Him being out. I think was Taysom Hill still out?
He played in this game. He was back.
He played. Okay. But I mean, it just like I said, it's still because even though y'all beat the Bucs, it was, it's kind of like the adrenaline, like, oh, James Winston out, but we got to leave, we got to take over. And Falcons are not as bad. Dude, I guess they're not bad. They're average, but they're still the same Falcons. They blow leads. They blew a lead.
Yeah,
again.
they still blow leads. They got talent though. Like Derrick Peterson,
yes,
has been somebody who's been underrated for a long time with how versatile he is coming out the backfield. He was he's the reason they won the game at the end. So yeah, Derrick Peterson, and you also have Gage there, who's a speedster. The tight end Pitts is like his size and speed is crazy. Like Marshawn Lattimore is one of the best corners in the league, and we tried to match him up 1-on-1 to start the game. It was like, nah, we can't do this. Like this ain't gonna work out. So we had to switch up the game plan on that one. Kyle Pitts is a monster, man.
Yeah. So they're upset. I ain't gonna say it was that shocking. I think more so it was in New Orleans, but y'all lost to the Giants at home too earlier, so it's kind of
we haven't had that crazy home field advantage like we had in past years. We've been better on the road this year.
Yeah, but I know y'all started the season off, but y'all first game was in Jacksonville, a home game because hurricane again. So it's been a weird season for y'all anyway. Broncos Cowboys, that was probably the most shocking battle of just a score. 30, they were up 30-0 at one point. It was like I could see the Broncos beating them, but not manhandling them like they did, and the Cowboys not scoring.
I didn't expect that at all, especially with them just trading away Von Miller. Because usually when you trade away a star player or a guy who's like the face of the franchise, you think, okay, they're folding it in for the season. No, it was like, nah, we come out here ready to go. And you think about the Cowboys getting Dak back, like, okay, they're getting Dak back. They've been playing well. This week was just a crazy week overall.
Yep, it really was. And like I said, I flew out to LA, went to the game, Titans Rams. Down Derrick Henry, I'm not gonna say I was shocked we won, but the way we won, I'm definitely just beating them down. That definitely was shocking. And Bills Jags, that's the one I do believe. The Bills only scoring 6 points and losing. That took the cake. I'm like, the Jags only scored 9, and you tell me if they want the number 1 offense, they were top 3 in the NFL. And you tell me they only had 2 field goals, like like you said, this went the Jags in 2017 that made the AFC Championship. This is 2021 Urban Meyer led Jags without Jalen Ramsey. Who else? They had Calais Campbell at that time. So that had to be the biggest shocker of them all. The other ones I can kind of saw some semblance, even the blowouts. Maybe I thought those games would be closer, but the Bills losing Jags, nobody saw that one coming.
Nah, not at all. No, a lot
But
of money was lost. A lot of money was lost.
Hey, you know what? I actually looked at the game while I was picking my upset picks, and for a slim chance, I was like, Jags? Nah.
Nah, I don't. If anybody picked them, they got family who play on the Jags, somebody on the coaching staff. They brother work in the stadium, something like that. You ain't just picking the Jags because you thought they was gonna win.
No way. But let's go move forward to, I guess, the review of our team's game. So we'll start Falcons and Saints. Like I said, I was in LA. I think they showed the Cowboys game, so I was mostly watching that one. So I didn't really get to see y'all game. So I know I saw the Falcons were up like 24-6 or something at one point before y'all made the comeback, and then they scored in the end. So how was the game? Like, what happened during the game? Like, what was the big story of the game?
So offensively, in the first half, we couldn't catch a cold. We had 5 or 6 drops by wide receivers and tight ends. A lot of people was pointing to like us not having Jameis. That doesn't, even if that's Jameis, they still dropping the ball. Right. So it's something that, you can't really blame Trevor Siemian for, like talking about right in the hands, right here, like not like super hard catches, like stuff they should have caught. So we didn't score any points in the first half, and we were down 10-0. And Falcons had a great drive to end the half. Our punter did a great job, pinned them deep. I believe they're on the 6-yard line. They went 94 yards for a touchdown to end the half. So they had all the momentum going into the second half. We're down 10-0. But with all the drops, I was thinking, okay, we're going to come back eventually in the game. Third quarter, it still wasn't happening. Like, they were doing all right offensively. We had adjusted defensively. Like, one of the big adjustments I was talking about was guarding Kyle Pitts differently. We tried to do Marshawn Lattimore one-on-one. It was hard because of the size difference. So we ended up switching it up. And fourth quarter, about midway through it, our offense wakes up for some reason. We had been playing like boo-boo for 3.5 quarters. And then our offense wakes up, goes down, quick drive. I'm like, okay, I'm not expecting us to come back at this point. I'm like, okay, it's good to see our offense do something. Quick 3 and out. We go right back down, score again. I'm like, oh, okay. we got a chance here. And then we mess around and take the lead, and we only had like a minute left in the game. So I'm like, okay, our defense has been showing up in this fourth quarter. We should be good. First play when the Falcons get the ball, deep pass to Derrick Henry down the field. And I was so upset, like beside myself, because I'm like, you knew they were going to go to Kyle Pitts or Derrick Henry in the situation. And we had our rookie corner, Paulson Adebo, on Patterson. Now, Paulson Adebo's been good this year. There's a reason he was in the game at that point. But you have him playing press man-to-man coverage on Derrick Henry, who is so big. Like, that's the thing that people like don't like take into account with him. Like, so first of all, you got a Paulson Adebo who's not the biggest guy on press coverage. He just shoved him out the way and went down and caught it. I'm like, where was the help? Like, if you're gonna have press man to man, you got to have help over the top. And that's one of the reasons we were able to beat the Buccaneers, is that we were able to play press man to man with the help over the top, to where we weren't giving Tom Brady any throwing lanes, really. Like, everything was a tight throw that he had to make. And that's when he was overthinking and ended up throwing an interception in the game. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to play that same type of defense here on Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan was having a special day, man. He even had plays where he looked mobile. Like, he had one play where we was about to get a sack in the backfield. He made 2 people miss and gained 5 yards. I was like, what is going on? What is going on right now? He shook the Mario Davis is one of the best linebackers in the league. Matt Ryan out there shaking them, getting yards. Like, yo, it was just a weird day when Matt Ryan out here with juke moves. Like, it was just not the day, man. And they was able to go down and get the field goal and win the game. But we didn't deserve to win, because we played like I said, like boo-boo for the first 3.5 quarters. And then finally our offense woke up. It actually started when Taysom Hill got some plays at QB. And that's what got us going. But I still think Trevor Siemian is the better choice. Like I said, it wasn't his fault in the first half that we were dropping balls. And our running game did look good with Kamara and Ingram. So we were able to do those things. I think we could take that going forward from this game. And Falcons-Saints is always a weird game. Something always strange happens. It's a rivalry game. Like, people who are not from there or haven't been there don't understand how big of a rivalry it is. like it's up there with Cowboys, Eagles, and Cowboys, Giants, because those get covered more because of the Cowboys, and people think of those rivalries. Steelers, Ravens, like Saints, Falcons is right there with that type of hatred, and there's even more tied into it because a lot of people from New Orleans moved to Atlanta after Hurricane Katrina, so it's just that mixture there, and it's a real rivalry. Like, I still hate Roddy White to this day because he had something to say after Hurricane Katrina. So, like, you have, like, there's a real rivalry there, like a real hatred. So there's always a weird game. It's always close. They always play their hearts out in that game. So I'm not concerned. Like, just losing that game, it sucks, especially with the Falcons fans that I know, because as soon as it was over, I got the calls and the text messages. So, yeah, that part sucks. But I think that in that fourth quarter, we saw what our offense could do with Trevor Siemian. But defensively, we had an off game, but I still like our defense a lot.
Yeah, y'all have a real solid defense. This is what kind of shocked me. And of course, as Art Smith, former Titans offense coordinator, former Memphian, son of Fred Smith, FedEx. So I'm glad to see him succeeding. But it was, I ain't gonna say it like I ain't shocked. Seeing Cordero Patterson, I'm a Tennessee fan, or a UT fan. He played, University of Tennessee. So glad to see him finally getting utilized in the way he had to be utilized instead of directly as a receiver, because he can drop the pass quite a bit. Playing straight receiver, but
when he's catching the ball and he's being consistent, his speed and size is such a difference maker. Because those plays where he came out the backfield and ran like a wheel route, because we made the mistake in the first half because he's at running back. We made the mistake of having a linebacker on him. So he came out, motioned out of the backfield, split wide. We had a linebacker on him. I was like, oh, that's a catch. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a mismatch. And then they went straight to him. Exactly. So you have to stick him with a corner, but you can line him up at running back, and that messes up your whole defense. So he definitely is a difference maker for our offense, for sure.
Yeah. And also, I know a lot of people forget, I mean, Trevor Siemian was not bad at all when he was with the Broncos.
No.
Yeah, I know. Like, when I saw y'all had him, I was like, "Oh, they should be okay." Like, he's not bad with that defense. And I think the only thing hurts is y'all receivers. Michael Thomas now officially out for the season. Stuff that happening. Hopefully, y'all get a chance to sign Odell. And I don't know if you would like to have Odell or not.
Yeah, Odell would be perfect for us if we could get him. I know that the team that gets him has to pay that $7 million is left on his contract. That's part of why we didn't get him before, because we were trying to trade for him before he even went there. And at first, Cleveland was talking about picking up the salary, only leaving like $1 million. And with our salary cap situation, our money's in our checking. We got to put in our savings. we got that type of situation where we got to be careful about what we spend. So with him, we had to make sure we had it set up to where we only had to pay that $1 million instead of the whole $7 million. So I don't know if we can set it up that way. But of course, we would love to have Odell. We need a true number one without Michael Thomas. Traquan Smith being back is big. He made some big plays in this game. Callaway is good, but I think he's a second, third guy, not a number one. So having a true number one would be massive. And I think Odell would thrive in Sean Payton's offense for sure.
Yep, I believe so too. And I love Marquez Callaway. I'm glad, once again, a UT product. I'm glad he made it on somewhere. He was underutilized in college, thanks to Bush Jones in that era. But I knew he had talent to make it in the field. And when I saw him in the preseason, I was like, oh yeah, he finally he's gonna stick on with the Saints. So I'm glad to see him succeeding.
He's definitely gonna be one of our guys. I don't think he's a number one.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
being with other weapons, especially next year, Michael Thomas comes back. And if we picking up another receiver, like him being in the slot, I like when he's in the slot and is able to do things there, because he's not like super fast, but he is quicker than people realize. And that's how he's able to get off the line. Like that preseason game against the Jags, the guy was playing press coverage, not knowing Callaway can hit you with a quick move, get around you, and get those passes. So yeah, I like Callaway a lot, man.
Yeah, for sure. So just talk about the Titans Rams. Of course, so as a Titans fan, like I said, it happens every year. So I know a lot of people saw us lose to the Jets. It was like, what? How they lose to the Jets? We literally do this every year. Last year we lost to the Bengals. We should have no business lose to them. Year before that, or Josh Allen's rookie year when Buffalo wasn't good before they got good, we lost to them. I remember a couple years ago we was bound for a playoff spot, and the Colts were 0-14 the year before they got Andrew Luck, and we lost to Indianapolis. So as a Titans fan, we do this every year. So when we lost to the Jets, it was frustrating, of course, but it was like, I don't think we're a bad team because of it. It's just what we do. And y'all lost to the Giants the same day, so upsets happen. But I'm not gonna lie, Both me and Mike Patton, of course, host a touring AFC South podcast, had on the show recently. Both me and him picked the Titans. We had this 5-game stretch of the Bills, Chiefs, at Colts, at Rams against the Saints, and both of us picked us to go 4-1 after losing their Jets, because I just know that's what they do. They, for whatever reason, they play up to competition. They play down, and teams like the Bills didn't do that. They used to blow out their competition till this past Sunday, so I guess they starting to do that a little bit now. But I feel like it's like a recurring thing throughout the league. But the Titans, I feel like they do it every single year, so that's why it's like more like pressing for us. But as crazy as it sounds, I didn't think I had us lose to the Rams in that 4-1 stretch. Actually, because I was like, take care of business at home, beat the Colts, and finally sweep them, and we'll lose to the Rams. But I'm not gonna lie, like I'm shocked for us to win all 4 of these games, and especially in the manner we did. Like, I knew our defense got better, especially our front four. But to just go out and dominate the Chiefs and go out and dominate the Rams, I'm not going to act like I saw that coming. I guess, what are your thoughts about the Titans so far throughout this whole stretch this season?
Yeah, man, you guys are hard to figure out unless you're like a Titans fan like yourself and like, oh, this is what we do. But if you're not a Titans fan, you're like, I can't figure you guys out at all. And I picked the Rams in this game. I figured it will take a game or two for you guys to adjust without Henry. So I'm like, okay, no Derrick Henry. Tannehill can play, but I think Tannehill's better as a play action quarterback.
Yep, that's it. Same
so
thing.
I'm like, if that threat of the run isn't there, does the play action work as well? Because he's great when you guys do a play action. He does the fake. He turns around. As soon as he turns around, A.J. Brown's running across the middle. Like, he's amazing at that. And you guys, the offense runs well because the linebackers come up. Next thing you know, somebody's running across the middle wide open. So I think that for me, watching the Titans, I would always look for that play action play for Tannehill getting that rhythm. And without that, I'm like, okay, can Tannehill really do it? And this game, he didn't have to do much because y'all defense was so good. But it was something that, for me, I didn't know the defense was this good. Because the Chiefs game, I'm like, okay, the Chiefs now, every time you see the Chiefs, you're like, okay, the defense plays good against them. It doesn't look as impressive because the blueprint's out there now.
Right.
Everybody's doing the same thing against them, and they just haven't figured it out yet. And for you guys to go out there and stifle Matthew Stafford in that way, who's been balling with the Rams this year, shows growth in that defense for sure. And if the defense can play that well, and you guys can have that running back by committee thing, Adrian Peterson still he got a little left in the tank, I can see you guys making some noise, man. So I really like what I'm seeing from the Titans. Like, I've been wrong about them. I did pick the Titans to win a division this year, so I'm good on that pick. You guys might be, because the AFC is wide open. Like, if you ask somebody who's your top 4 teams in the AFC, you can't really just be like definitive about it. It's something that you have to like really think about, because like I was saying, I thought the Bills were the best team, but now they're showing flaws. And the Titans, you guys defensively, it was bad at first, but now it's getting better and better every week. So you guys might take that top spot for sure and be that team that's the team that everybody has to go through to win the AFC.
Yep, for sure. Like I said, the defense, I've kind of been having that back all season because I've been blaming most of the season on the offense. Because I think the Cardinals game, we gave up 38 points. The offense gave up 14 of those points because we fumbled the ball deep in their territory. I don't blame the defense for this. I'm like, we held a high-powered Cardinals team to 24 points. Our offense did anything. It's a better game.
Yeah.
They were off. I don't know what happened. The Seattle game, I think we had another fumble in their territory. They had 30. Technically, defense only gave up 20 against once again, a pass-happy offense, and we shut them down second half. So each game, even the Jets game, we only had 9 points in the third quarter. Like, I'm like, our defense has gotten better, but we're not, elite yet, right? So if the score is 9-7 in the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter, okay, the Jets went on scoring run out there. I can't blame the defense so much because once again, your offense is supposed to be better. I know AJ and Julio out the game, but still, like, you're supposed to play better. But our biggest problem is being our offensive line. And even Sunday, the defense really won this game because the Rams did the exact same thing we did on defense. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. Aaron Donald was back there almost every single play. Tannehill just didn't make the back. He threw one pick, but it wasn't like Stafford's picks. It wasn't almost a safety throw a pick at the 3-yard line. It wasn't a pick six. He threw a pick in their territory, and the rest of the game he was efficient. He, made key third down throws, made a key run. I was questionable. I didn't think the boot would work anymore with Derrick Henry out. The fact that it was still wide open, the way it was, I was like, well, I swear, I was like, nah, the boot ain't gonna be open no more. I think teams just forget, Tannehill's athleticism. My guy Chris at Drop Off Pod, he told me, he was like, he did tear his ACL as well twice while he was in Miami. So teams probably, they forget about his athleticism, him playing receiver in college. But I mean, he been making it work. So
like I said, he's a 4 or 5, 4 or 6 guy. So you gotta be aware of him once he gets out of that pocket. Yeah.
Exactly. And my problem with the Titans, I think offensive coordinator, we don't utilize him in space a lot. And I'd be like, why don't we just get him out and let him, use his athleticism instead of always trying to make him in the pocket, especially with our offensive line. And I didn't know Taylor Warren was out until I just randomly looked over it. I think when we got a sack, I was like, who is number? Whatever new number was, Hart. I was like, who is that? I knew we had left guard out. Our right guard was out, Nate Davis. I was like, but I know a lot of
you start getting to those backup offensive linemen, you're like, man, who's that?
Like, it was crazy, but I mean, just being in the atmosphere, the fans, I heard like people, we was loud in there. Like, it was a lot of Titans fans who traveled, and I heard people say they heard us on TV. I was like, yeah, it was still more as Rams fans there, but we supported. We definitely came out, and LA is one of them cities. Tourist cities.
Everybody's there, yeah.
Yeah. Titans had the same problem in Nashville. Saints, y'all don't have the problem, y'all.
Now, the only game like that the Saints might have a problem, like anytime we play Dallas, because Dallas is close enough.
Yeah, it's close, yeah.
Yeah, so Dallas fans that come deep to New Orleans for those games. But outside of that, usually we got 98% Saints fans in the Superdome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, Titans, like I said, the defense, I knew we'd be better. Because the crazy stat, you probably wouldn't believe this, we already have more sacks this season than we had all last season.
Wow.
We had 19 sacks last season, and that's only because we got 4 in the last game of the season. So we had 15 sacks going to week 17 last year. We already have 23 this year in 9 games. So I know the off season we took Nico Autry from the Colts. We signed Bud Dupree, who's getting healthier now, and we got him, Big Jeff, and Harold Landry, who are already good, but they were getting tired out because Davian Clowney getting hurt, Vic Beasley not working out, all type of things happening. So the front four finally got there. Kevin Byard playing at all-pro level again. He struggled last year because he was trying to compensate for everybody else. Soon, either next week or 2 weeks, probably next week, we're supposed to be getting our best corner. Christian Fulton supposed to be coming back. So if he comes back, I believe our defense could possibly get into the top 10 realm. But like I said, we'll see how it goes. It's been just pleasant to see us finally have a defense again. Because last year was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing last year.
Yeah, last year was rough for you guys on defense. I remember during the offseason when you guys picked up Bud Dupree, I said that might be the biggest move of the offseason. Because when he was healthy on the Steelers, that Steelers defense was different last year. Like those first 11, 12 games when they were rolling, that defense was awesome. And it was a combination of Dupree along with TJ Watt, of course. So having Dupree on that defense along with that secondary getting better and better and getting healthier, you guys are for real, man.
Yep. And really, our biggest offseason addition on the line was Nico Autry. Basically, Dupree, because he could come out to 20 ACL, so he started off slow. He just now really getting into his groove for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But Nico Autry, I don't know why the coach didn't want to pay him. But, hey, he's. I feel like I see him back there every play. So it's a pleasant sight to see. I mean, when you come from 19 sacks in the season to 23 already in 9 games, you.
That pressure up front makes such a big difference because now your secondary isn't that stressed. You're not back there. They're not trying to cover somebody for 4, 5, 6 seconds now. Like it makes a huge difference when your front four can bring pressure, especially if you don't have to blitz all the time. Like it changes everything for your defense.
Yep, for sure. Get to a couple of comments. Al Pierce, what they do? Tighten up, go kick New Orleans Saints tail. Let's try. All right, appreciate you tuning in. Again, the Power Hour, what up, P-Shark? What it do? I was on his show last month or 2 months ago. So real good guy, another Titans YouTuber. Titans Saints preview. So before we get to the preview of the game, want to discuss, like I said, it was we played our first week without starting quarterback for y'all, star running back for us, Derrick Henry. So just wanted to discuss the impact of the injuries, both of those. So I guess we'll start with Jameis Winston. I guess coming from me, as an outsider looking in, Jameis Winston had improved, kind of like Carson Wentz had improved this season. We was looking at both of them and see, okay, are they going to be the same 20 picks, 30 picks in Jameis Winston case, guys? And especially with y'all receiving core, I was really interested. I did have faith in Jameis, though. I did think Sean Payton could turn him around, and he did. And I hate that he got torn ACL off a dirty play, pretty much. Horse collar tackle. Very unfortunate. But when I saw Trevor Siemian come in, I was like, y'all might not be, especially with y'all defense, y'all might have a Kamara as well. Y'all not gonna fall too much. I still see y'all as a playoff team, but I guess what are your thoughts on like the dynamic of y'all going forward?
Like the biggest impact for Jameis was the big play. Like even though we don't have the greatest receiving core right now, Jameis, like people sleep on how big an arm Jameis has. So some of the highlights you'll see from Jameis this year, like what deep passes to Deontay Harris, where he's chucking it 60, 65, almost 70 yards down the field. And to have that weapon on your offense, and the defense knows like this guy can throw it that far to a speedster like Harris. Like Harris is our punt returner who's also our third receiver, 4'2", 4'3" type dude. So when he goes and he gets a head start, you're not going to catch him. So that type of play is gone. Trevor Siemian is nice, but he doesn't have that type of arm. Also with Jameis, it's just the energy of Jameis. Like even the video that went viral of him dancing with the big old brace on with the crutches.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Like you could tell the teammates really love Jameis. And I think that part is the part that hurt the most for me. It's like, you really want to see him have a successful year, lead a team to the playoffs, and show that he could be a winning quarterback. People knew the talent was there, but people didn't think he could be a winning quarterback. And he was showing that this year, even with not having the best weapons. So there's a lot of times this year where James might have to take a sack or throw the ball away. And instead of trying to force it, he just took the sack or he threw the ball away. And that was part of his growth that you saw there. So the biggest impact of Jameis is personality-wise, not having that leader there, but also not having that big play threat of somebody could just go, Deontay Harris can go 50 yards down the field, and James can get it there. Trevor Siemian, he can throw the deep ball, but it's more about anticipation. He's got to throw it early, get it out there, catch it, then you could run instead of just being able to wait for the play to develop like Jameis could. So I think that's the biggest impact there.
Right. Totally agree. But I do like the trade that y'all did make for I love, man, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara a couple years ago, and they're together. I mean, I used to watch. They used to be on I missed that show in Game Day Prime with Deion Sanders and LT on NFL Network after the games. Yeah. They used to stay calling Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Those folks used to have me tripping. So I was glad to see that tandem back together. So I think y'all can lean more heavy on the run, but like I said, Trevor Siemian is gonna make the plays we need to. Still, I guess going forward, y'all still gonna use Taysom Hill as the utility guy.
Yeah. Taysom Hill, a lot of Saints fans didn't understand why I was against Taysom Hill being a starting quarterback, because he went 3-1 last year when Breeze went out. But when you look at that 3-1, you got to examine who he played. So he beat Atlanta twice, who was garbage last year, who we should have beat this year, but they were garbage last year, beat them twice. And we beat Denver, who had no quarterbacks through the COVID.
Right.
Like they literally had a practice squad wide receiver playing quarterback that game. And Taysom Hill still wasn't good. Like the only reason he was the best quarterback in that game is because the other team didn't have one. So when you really look at his 3-1 record and break it down, you're like, he was 3-1 because the team was 3-1. It wasn't because Taysom Hill was out there balling out of control. He's better used as an athlete. Let him be a wide receiver, tight end, running back sometimes, and be a QB from time to time. And that threat of the run is there when he's there. So the plays where he came in on Sunday and passed the ball, one of the reasons those lanes are open is because you're worried about him running the ball. So when he goes and does like a little play action or like a little zone read, and that defensive end is worried about him coming around that corner, or someone else is worried, the linebacker is worried about him coming around and running. Next thing you know, he backs up and that quick slant's right there open because everybody has to step up because he's running. So every once in a while he could do that. But if you ask him to like sit back and be a drop back, read the defense quarterback, that's not his bag. So I think Trevor Siemian's better at doing that part of it, the nuances of being a quarterback. And I like that we have that weapon in Taysom Hill, especially with Michael Thomas not coming back this year. We need another weapon out there that we can use in that way.
Yep. For sure. Yep. Totally agree. I think I still think y'all in good shape. NFC, unlike the AFC, I think like the top 10 teams. I think we're on like 3 games ahead of the number 10 team.
Yeah,
we're
the
number
AFC
1.
is nuts right now. Like the AFC is crazy. The Patriots out here looking like they might be scary.
Right. Exactly. We played them in a couple of weeks. So. But NFC, I think y'all got a pretty sizable lead. But Russell Wilson is coming back. But even then, I think at 6, y'all still like 2 games ahead of the 7 team. So everybody pretty much battling for 7. So I think y'all still will hold serve and still make the playoffs. And just see what y'all do when y'all get there. And that's what the impact with Derrick Henry. What's your thought, I guess, what you think about the Titans and just how Derrick Henry impacts us?
So for me, I was thinking that I still think Derrick Henry is the heart of the team. Yeah, he's what makes this team go. And when he gets those big runs or he stiff arms somebody in the space, like those plays really galvanize you guys. You could tell like those type of plays hypes up even the defense to go out there and play better. Because like, man, look at this dude out here just killing. And again, Tannehill, I think is good, but he's much better off the play action.
Yep.
And Derrick Henry, you have to respect Derrick Henry, somebody who was on pace to do another 2,000-yard season, which is nuts. The fact that he was on pace after running for 2,000 yards. We haven't seen somebody do that. Like usually after a 2,000-yard year, you slow down. You saw, Barry Sanders was still good afterwards, but usually you see people slow down after that 2,000-yard season. And for him, it was like, no slowing down. We're going right back to it. And I just hate that he had that foot injury. But for me, if you guys are able to replicate that just in a different way with the running back by committee, you could minimize the impact of his loss because you'll still be able to run the play action. You still have somebody in Adrian Peterson who can replicate somewhat that power run style. Of course, he's not Derrick Henry at this stage of his career, but he's somebody who can get you, if you get him rolling, he can still get you 100 yards if you have the right type of game plan or it's against the right defense. He still can do that for you. So I think that the impact will be minimized. There'll be certain games where you'll be like, dang, Derrick Henry would have been nice right here against this defense. Like there'll be certain games where you'll say that. But I think the impact won't be as major as it could have been because you guys know how to adjust.
Yep, for sure. I definitely agree. He on some real key points. I do think my first thought, my guy Savage, host of I Don't Know Sports podcast, his first thoughts were he actually was like, okay, Tannehill, he good enough. Y'all should be good. And I was like, he best in play action, and you can't run play action without a running game. First thought. Because our backup running back, who we drafted last year, Darren Evans, he's out for the season. So it's like the backup we drafted to be the backup to one that we want to use to take care of us away from Derrick Henry to give us some rest. He's been hurt all season, so Derrick Henry has been having to carry the load because he's been hurt. Then he's out for the season. Derrick Henry gets out for the season, back-to-back weeks. So it's like, dang, what we're gonna do now? And instantly signed Adrian Peterson. My first thoughts, 36 years old. But to your point, I think he could replicate some of that running style. The thing that separates Derrick Henry is that breakaway speed that still shocks me when he breaks away. I'm like, it's still amazing.
It's so crazy to see that big dude running away from cornerbacks. You like, dog, like, how's he out here doing this? Like, it's something that still amazes me when I see it. Like, it was a run a couple of weeks ago where he broke through, and then there was a safety coming over. Like, okay, the safety's gonna catch him. Nope, he's gone. He was like, dang, bro, that's nuts, bro.
Yep. Yeah, it's like I said, it still amazes me. So I just knew like we lost that, but I was glad we signed Adrian Peterson. We signed Deontay Foreman. He was actually our backup last year, and he did pretty good spelling Derrick Henry's spots last year. And I don't know why we didn't bring him back, but I don't know why he was still a free agent. So I'm glad he was still a free agent. So we signed him back. Jeremy McNichols, it was both him and Foreman last year. We used that spot. So Jeremy McNichols is a great third down back. So kind of still keep him in that role. He'll get a couple of runs now. So like you said, I think the running back by committee approach definitely helps. I think the Rams game was not a true test, or it's not a true like judge of it because the Rams got a great defense. I mean, got Aaron Donald. Like every time we tried to run up the middle, it wasn't happening. Like that would have been the case with Derrick Henry, to be honest. Because last 2 weeks, Derrick Henry got stuff. I mean, the Colts, like he still had 86 yards, but he had did on 29 carries against the Chiefs. And the Colts, I think they held him 70 yards on like 27 carries. So although you still got the yards, you had a lot of carries, and you still only had like 3 yards of carry. So teams have started stuff from some, but it opened up the play action for AJ Brown, for Julio, who's getting healthier now. So my whole thing was thinking like, all right, we honestly, Julio hasn't been, to me, I don't believe he's been as hurt as they've been portraying him to be. I think what we've been doing is the NBA load management process with him.
Yeah.
Making sure like, we need you for the playoffs, and like, in and out. So I think like the load management stuff got to stop now. Like, okay, we gonna need him every game from here on down, going forward. So that's just my opinion on that going forward. But I liked he looked well Sunday as well, and the spots where Taysom Hill finally got to get a pass off. So I think going forward, like you said, the run back by committee, we can offset it somewhat, so we still can do some play action and get AJ Brown, Julio out there. You got them two out there. Hey, I don't care who the I would say I don't care who the quarterback is. I think Tannehill is good enough to, with those two out there, could get you somewhere far in the playoffs. And there's a chance. They said 6 to 10 weeks. There's a chance Derrick Henry could be back for the playoffs.
There's a chance. Like, there's one person who I don't doubt could come back from injury and play. It'll be him. Like he's on that TO type stuff where he's super healer. Like because I remember when TO got hurt, it was like no way he's coming back. And that he was like, I'm gonna be back for Super Bowl. If we make it, I'll be there. My man was there and he balled out. So yeah, there's certain people that's different like that. I think Derrick Henry is definitely one of those guys.
That's T.O., my favorite receiver of all time. I know the guy on about his antics. Still should have been first ballot Hall of Famer. Crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Antics.
Sure.
They literally put him third because of antics, but crazy. Check a couple more comments. My guy Ryan Harris. What up, fellas? I'm a little drunk, so I can't stay up here long. Tighten up. He out in Vegas right now, man. Enjoy your vacation.
Okay,
man.
Yeah, enjoy your time, bro. Say, take a shot for me, bro.
Right. Then my guy Antoine Galloway. What it do, man? What it do? What's up, guys? Hey, support us at the Let's Be Real team. But let's go and get to the preview. What I do normally do with previews, like I said, I'll set the biasness because Saints fan, Titans fan. I don't normally pick a winner or like the things. I just do what's the keys to victory. So what is one key on offense and defense? That's the key to victory for the Saints.
Offensively, catch the ball. It was so crazy in that first half. Like if we run those same plays and get those same type of looks and catch the ball, we'll be able to score. So our offensive line is really good. I know you guys' defensive line has improved. You just mentioned how you guys have already surpassed your number of sacks in last year. So our offensive line has to do a good job of protecting Simeon and also open up those running lanes. Our running game is really important for Kamara and Ingram to run. So I think our offensive line protecting Simeon and opening up running lanes is the main key for us to win this game because it opens up so many other things for us.
Yep.
And defensively. So defensively, for me, it'll be discipline. I think that's something that we didn't have against Atlanta. Our defense is really good when on point. And against Atlanta, we weren't on point. So be disciplined. You guys are still going to run that play action, even though you don't have Henry. So we have to be disciplined in those cases and not over pursue. Because when you over pursue, that's when you get AJ Brown with them 10-yard crossers and going across the middle, getting those passes. And Lattimore is going to have his hands full with AJ Brown, but I know that's going to be the matchup. Looking forward to seeing that one and seeing how that plays out because I do believe Lattimore is one of the top corners in this league. Yeah, he does. And he's somebody who can guard pretty much anybody outside of Kyle Pitts. He can guard pretty much anybody out there. So I think that matchup is key on defense as well, is making sure that AJ Brown doesn't go crazy on us, but being disciplined in our defensive action and not over pursuing on play action, bootlegs, not allowing Tannehill to have that big run on the third down and stuff like that.
Yep. Okay. We at Titan Nation are definitely jealous of y'all having Lattimore. We had the opportunity to get him in that draft, and we chose Corey Davis. Who, I mean, to be fair, Corey Davis, he got a little hurt. He finally had a breakout year last year. I understand it's not paying him. I wouldn't pay him as much as he got as well, $12 billion for what he did, especially in the playoffs. But it doesn't make it for about getting Julio, and that's actually my key to the Titans offense. Last week, AJ, he tends to, against top corners, like he's a really good receiver. Don't get me wrong. I think he's top 10, borderline. It's an argument for him, at the bottom tier of the top 10. But last week, Jalen Ramsey, the corners can get in his head, right? And he dropped a couple of passes. AJ, I guess him and Jalen Ramsey had to lose squabble. He spoke about it after the game, saying, he, we won a game and all, but man, you can't do certain stuff, man. He can meet me. He got my number. He can meet me outside. I was like, bro, like he let folks get in his head sometimes. Him and DK are kind of similar in it, and Ole Miss guys.
Oh man, DK.
Yeah, he not as bad as DK, but
yeah, don't get me started on DK, bro. Like when we played Seattle on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago, bro, he was out there doing the most, and he was getting away with it. That's the crazy part. Like it was a one play. I'm sorry to interrupt him. That was one play where it was just a regular running play. Seattle just ran, dive up the middle, and DK was out there with Lattimore. They're nowhere near the play. Like the play ran, they were on the way on the other side. And just out of nowhere, DK just come and push Lattimore down. Like the play is pretty much over. Just out of nowhere. And of course, Lattimore got up and pushed him back, and Lattimore got the flag. And it happened a couple times.
I hate that. They always get no retaliation.
And the crazy thing was, it was so obvious though. Like it was one of those ones where like the referee should have saw the first push. Like you see Lattimore on the ground, and DK is a big dude. So when you see DK push Lattimore like flew back a little bit. So I get like. And DK, like his antics and stuff, man. So yeah, I'm not a big DK fan, like especially after the Shannon Sharp thing too. Like, like come on, bro. You out here calling Shannon Sharp a washed up wannabe, bro? Come on, crazy. Bro. Yeah, like I'm gonna need you to like really know your history about the game. You're gonna be out here doing this, bro. You can't be out here going at Shannon Sharp when Shannon Sharp is a fair criticism. That was a stupid play. Exactly. that you did, bro. Everybody saw it. So it was a fair criticism, and you coming back at him, calling him washed up and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not a big DK fan, but my fault, man.
You good.
On these tangents.
You good. Same here. Like he need to humble himself. And that's why I said AJ Brown, he's not he ain't like that at all, but he can't get frustrated. You can't frustrate him, man. Marcus Lattimore being on him. If he's gonna guard him, who's guarding Julio? Yeah, so I was like, let's get Julio involved. Last week, I was like, man, AJ dropped past something. That's why we got Julio out here. Like, let's get him involved. Him and Tannehill got to develop some chemistry because they ain't got to practice a lot. Julio missed almost all training camp due to the same hamstring injury. So it's like, we need to get that connection. I'm like, he's shown Julio hasn't fallen off. He just got this hamstring injury that he had last year that he's still dealing with. But like the Seattle game, he showed that game. He's still Julio. So my whole thing, offense is like, find a way to get him involved, so because he's gonna be the key for the rest of the season, in my opinion. If AJ Brown's gonna take no more corners, Julio's still Julio, and we got to make sure that we take advantage and make them choose between the two.
For sure, and we're very familiar with Julio Jones of years of been coaching us. So we definitely, if he's out there, we're definitely gonna be paying attention to him, probably doubling him and have one-on-one with Brown and Lattimore.
Yep.
Yeah, Julio Jones, we know for sure that Lattimore, as good as he is, can't really guard Julio Jones because Julio Jones gave him the business a lot of times in Atlanta. But you can't really blame, that big running a 4-3. Who can guard that? And also good at running routes. Like, it's just unfair. So, yeah, with Julio, you got to cover him. If he's 100%, you can't really just put him one-on-one with anybody.
Right. Then defense, get pressure. I mean, do what we've been doing. Get the pressure on the quarterback with Ford without blitzing. We're doing great with that the last couple of weeks. We get pressure on not Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian. I mean, that definitely bodes well for us. We are pretty good at stopping the run, but containing Alvin Kamara is still important. I think we're top 10 in run defense, but Alvin Kamara is a top running back. Like after Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara is in that conversation for second or third, best back. Actually, a former Titan, former Titan, Chris Sanders. He actually, before the season, he said he had picked Alvin Kamara as the best running back over Derrick Henry.
Oh wow!
Covers the season. I was like,
even as a Saints fan, I wouldn't go that far with it, but because Henry is just different as far as the way he can carry the load, and Kamara's showing this year he can carry the load when you need him to. But now with Ingram there, he won't be asked to do it as much. But he did show like he can get 25 carries and carry the load for you and run between because he's bigger than people think.
Yep.
And so when he's running between the tackles, he can do those things well. He's an absolute monster, man. I'm so glad we signed him to a long-term deal and got him locked in because, some of the plays he makes, like his balance is unbelievable. Like some of the times where you feel like he's going to get tackled and he just bounces off a tackle and gets another 4 or 5 yards. He great then can come out the backfield and catch for you. Like he does everything so well. He's a monster, man. So Alvin Kamara, he's definitely in that conversation. Him, Dalvin Cook, CMC when healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, like those would be the three that I'll put in that second tier right behind Henry.
And also Nick Chubb. Can't forget about Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Nick Chubb's a monster.
And so Jonathan Taylor jumping into the conversation now as well for the Colts. So yeah,
that's true. No, he's really good.
Not a real good running back, which is crazy. Derrick Henry still leading the league in rushing by 116 yards.
Yeah, he was on a crazy pace, bro. It was like Derrick Henry is just different. Like there's certain people, like I was always talking about one of my shows where there's different tiers to greatness. Mm-hmm. And for me, above great, I put different. Like this dude is just you can't describe him. Like you can't describe this person. Like this person's just different. And Derrick Henry's just different, bro.
Right. And crazy. But I like saying it seems like y'all got a lot of likable. I've always pretty much liked the Saints. I never hated, like my stepmom hated them, but I never had a problem with the Saints. The only team I hated all through my life was the Colts and the Jaguars, pretty much, and the Patriots. But now Tom Brady gone, so I don't really hate them like I used to with Tom Brady. But those are the main teams I hated. I always pretty much liked the Saints. But Alvin Kamara, y'all have him forming Tennessee players, University of Tennessee players. Alvin Kamara, another one. Glad to see his success. I knew like when he went third round, y'all got him. I was like, oh, y'all, he gonna be good. Like I think the only reason he went third round, but Bush Jones, I don't know how he messed up that team.
Because once I saw Kamara his rookie, because I didn't watch much University of Tennessee, so I didn't know much about him. When we drafted him, I remember Sean Payton just raving, like just like this dude's gonna be amazing. I can't believe he fell to us in the third round. Watch how I use him. I'm like, okay, Sean Payton I trust, because Sean Payton's, the first coach in Saints history to be this consistent and be around for this long and be good on offense. So I'm like, if he says Kamara is all this, I trust him. Right out the gate, rookie year, like he just came out and we was like, oh, okay, this dude is gonna be nice with it. So yeah, he's been living up to expectations ever since, man.
Yep. Yeah, I knew that especially when he got drafted by y'all, I was like, that was the perfect team, the perfect system. His only problem with Tennessee was he had the fumble. He did have some fumble issues. He had he had quite a bit of fumbles. And I think so far in the league, he hasn't really fumbled that much. So he's pretty much cleaned that up from what I see. So like I said, great to see him. He actually was starting off at Alabama before he transferred to Tennessee. So the former Alabama running back too, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, now the stories you hear about him, like I was listening to Club Shay Shay. He was on there. Shannon, and he was talking about so why'd you transfer away from Alabama? He ended up going to a smaller school. I know Chris actually played against him. Chris from Drop Balls podcast.
Oh, nice.
Played against him in college when he went to the smaller school. But he was like, man, I came into that room, and I believe it was still Derrick Henry was still there. He was like, I was seventh on the depth chart. He was like, I ain't gonna get no playing time here. I'm like, they had 6 dudes ahead of Alvin Kamara. Like, imagine that, bro. Like, Alabama's something different, bro. Me being an LSU guy, I hate giving them credit. You gotta give them props for that, man.
Yeah, you got to. And I think they had Derrick Henry. I think Kenyon Drake. They may have still had Trent Richardson at the time. Who knows? But it's crazy room. But let's go and move forward to our Week 10 upset pick of the week. Ooh. So look at the schedule. When I looked at this, it was hard to choose one. But I ended up coming to Seattle, beating Green Bay at Green Bay. I'm not sure the status. I think Aaron Rodgers is supposed to come back, but we'll see. I think he's not eligible to come back to Saturday to practice. So, I mean, if he's eligible, they're probably going to put him right back out there. But Russell Wilson has been cleared to play.
Yeah. Now, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I like that one. Aaron Rodgers coming off of having no practice, but he definitely is going to be better than what Jordan Love showed out there. Like the Chiefs are begging for the Packers to win that game, and Jordan Love couldn't do nothing out there. But for me, looking at the schedule, who's favorite in the Cleveland-New England game?
I'm pretty sure New England is. Let me check.
I know they at home.
Yeah, New England.
New England's favorite? Okay. Because, that was going to be my pick. I'm looking at that Buffalo Jets game, but Buffalo can't lose. They can't do it 2 weeks in a row. They can't do it 2 weeks in a row.
They can't do that.
Yeah, they can't do that. I like that Seattle pick over Green Bay. Ooh, Minnesota Chargers is interesting because
I'll tell you some Minnesota. That's right there.
Minnesota is a team like you just never know what they're gonna bring, bro. They're gonna come ready to ball 1 week, and then the next week they get blown out. Like they honestly should have beat the Ravens last week. So, and the Chargers are kind of going through a tough period. They won their game against Philly, but that was a real tough win against
tough
Philly.
one,
Yeah. So I could see that one. I didn't want to go definitive on it because, like you said, I just don't trust Minnesota like that.
I don't.
Like me and Kirk Cousins just don't rock like that, man. So you know what? I'm gonna go Jacksonville over the Colts.
Oh,
yeah, I think Jacksonville feeling themselves coming off that win. The Colts, I know my man Chris from Drop Balls Podcast ain't gonna like that at all, but I'm gonna go with that for my upset pick because I think the Colts, a division rivalry game is always weird, especially them playing each other, seeing each other so much, and Jacksonville having that confidence. So I can see them pulling off the upset, man. So that's gonna be my upset pick.
Yeah, Chris gonna be like, what? That's funny. But yeah, I looked at that one too. I was like, Indy at home. They did lose to them last year, the first game of the season, I think, at home. So like I said, anything happen any given Sunday. They are only 2 losses away from Chris predicting to go 11-6. They only 2 losses away from that getting blown up. They're 4-5 right now. So yeah. That pretty much end that prediction if they lose. But it was another one I was looking at. I ain't gonna choose it, but because same thing with Minnesota. That's how I feel about Philly. Philly at Denver. I thought about. I was like, I'm tired of picking Philly for upsets too. Like
that's a weird one because Denver was a team that I was like, I'm done with Denver. I ain't picking them no more. And then they mess around and blow out the Cowboys. Like, okay, maybe that's just a 1 week thing. They were like, everybody doubting us. We just traded away Von Miller. Go come out here strong, and then they come out here this next week and just lay a dud. So I can see that happening with Denver too. So, and Philadelphia is starting to find themselves. That's actually not a bad pick because they're starting to find themselves. I don't know why it took them this long to run the ball.
Yeah,
like with Philly, other teams. You're like, okay, with Kansas City, you're like, dang, teams that figured them out. I can see why they're having difficulty, why it's taking them a while to get in the groove. With Philly, it was like run the ball. Like it's something that we're not professional coaches, and we tell them, "Yo, run the ball." Like that's what you need to do. Just run the ball more. And they started doing that, and they, was out there just winning games now, or playing good enough to win against the Chargers last week. So Philadelphia, Denver is a good pick. I like that one a lot.
Yep. Yeah. As long as they keep doing it. My guy Savage, host I Don't Know Sports, he's a Philly fan, very flip-floppy about them get us to any fan for any team frustrated like that. So that's how he be getting. So end off before we finish, this is actually my 1-year anniversary for this actual podcast.
So congratulations, my guy.
I appreciate it. Started this journey literally November 9th of last year. That was my first episode. So I looked at it, I was like, so now it didn't do anything special, didn't re-promote it. Just really just thought about it last week. I was like, oh, it's 1-year anniversary this week. So we gotta just make that note. Probably get a new logo probably very soon, just to get an updated one, especially I think one of the players on their logo I got is not gonna be there next year, Rashawn Evans. Actually hoping he's gone. So pretty big disappointment, but yep, made it 1 year for this podcast. Been doing Let's Be Real period for 3 years now. So we like on episode 150 on that one.
Okay. Now that's awesome, man. A lot of people, like I said earlier, a lot of people hit me up. I want to do a podcast. How do I start? What's the thing? And a lot of them will start. They'll get 4 or 5 episodes in, and they're not seeing a bunch of people listening or a bunch of people watching, and they quit. So when you stick to it and you get to that 1-year anniversary, you're like, okay, I've really done something here. It's big, man. You should really celebrate it. Like, okay, I'm doing something here. I'm gonna continue doing it. So it's a big thing, man.
Yep, sure. I say, like I said, you'll be part of it. You'll be part, like I said, connecting with you last year, be part of me even starting this. Mike Patton, he just said exactly what you just said last week on Twitter. He just said that, like, if you ain't got the followership, man, get the people you got that is following you and just grow from there. And that's what I took with this podcast. It's like, do I have the most subscribers or whatever? No, it's a lot of other tiny YouTubers. They got 1,000 subscribers and everything, but I do got like a good followership. I know my guy Ryan, who come in, other guy Ian, who I got to meet in LA for the game. Got those 2 guys, a couple other guys, Power Hour, Al Pierce. Got guys who tune in almost every week, so just keep growing with them and keep producing content. Got guys like you, Chris and Mike, who I met, C. Henry. Got child guys who I connected with and network with on Twitter. That also we all helping each other grow. So man, it's been like I said, been a pleasure. Glad to have you on again. Thank you for agreeing to come on to talk about the Saints and tell the people where they can follow you at again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate the invite. Anytime I get to get on somebody else's show and to see how they run things and I love the setup, bro. The setup in the back is crazy, bro. Like that. I love that right there, man. I gotta get my Saints man cave up, man, so I can do that like you got it going on, bro. But yeah, you can follow me on all social media platforms at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal. W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha on all social media platforms. I'm most active on Twitter. So follow me on there. You'll get the basketball tweets, football tweets, boxing. Like I said, the boxing, whenever there's a big matchup, I'm round by round on every fight, giving you that knowledge. And hopefully, like my man said, he learned a lot from me. So I'm glad that you were able to do that. I really appreciate that. So if you are a football, basketball, boxing fan, go ahead, follow me. And then you'll get some random stuff as well. Like I'll be watching a TV show and be like, what's going on with this? Like some random stuff like that too. So follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The page is The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Check that page out. You'll get videos. I'll do like random videos about stuff. Like I've done, like one I did that really kind of took off was one I did on Floyd Mayweather, kind of breaking down what made Floyd Mayweather special. So you'll see videos like that. And also the articles we do on the 3rd and 3podcast.com, you'll see on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. So the podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams. You got to put the full thing like a pimp named Slickback. The Real Deal with Damian Adams on all podcast platforms, wherever. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, wherever you listen to podcasts, The Real Deal with Damian Adams is there. And also the 3rd and 3 podcast is on the platforms as well. Or you can catch us live on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook.
Yep. I heard you, man. Tomorrow, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 3rd and 3 podcast live on Facebook. Be sure to tune in. Y'all be having me tripping in the beginning when y'all be having a little music. Y'all be like dancing.
Yeah, you gotta start it off with a jam. Get the blood glowing, get the blood flowing.
Man, it'd be hilarious. But as y'all know, follow me on Twitter, follow the page at LBR Tighten Up, follow me, personal page at the1_P Shark. Once again, reason the page is separate because I got 3 podcasts. I also got the Grizzlies podcast, Started 5 podcast. Every Monday, this to us, me and the guys on LBR, Started 5 because it's 5 of us. Grizzlies every single Monday for Grizzly Bear Blues. Of course, got Let's Be Real podcast. Y'all saw the promotion and everything earlier. And the other podcast on the podcast network is the guys keep get everything up and rolling on their end. Follow LBR, LB Real Media, also on Twitter. We mostly active on Twitter, like you. Facebook do get pretty hard to try and consistently get feedback, but Facebook Live still go live with both this and Let's Be Real. Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. Can only comment. I don't know why they changed it. You can't comment on Twitter anymore. You can only comment on Facebook.
I had to switch that one day. I was on Twitter. I was like, my man ain't even seeing my stuff on Twitter. I had to switch over to Facebook.
Right. They switched. I don't know. They switched it because first they were using the Periscope, and you could comment. It was like they used it on Periscope, but it was going to the Twitter page. You can comment. Now it's just straight through Twitter, and for a reason they can't comment. And so now they might change it, just like they need to add an edit button, which they're trying to make people pay for. Well, I saw today.
That's crazy.
But of course, listen to audio, Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it, Stitcher, any podcast platform. So, like I said, appreciate you coming on again, and till next time, let's tighten up.